A crane veers off a coastal site, plunging into the sea debris surfaces as waves engulf it. A stark warning: mechanical failures morph routine tasks into instant disasters. A tower crane collapses without warning on a construction site, crashing into the ground with crushing force. Twisted metal and debris scatter a split-second reminder of structural engineering's lethal risks. A cargo ship plows into a harbor, triggering a chaotic domino effect. Massive gantry cranes topple like dominoes, crashing into docks and scattering debris. The deafening collapse fueled by human error or mechanical failure leaves the port in ruins, an urgent reminder of maritime industry's vulnerability to cascading disasters. A harbor crane topples violently, collapsing partially into the sea and onto the shoreline. Waves batter the twisted wreckage, while debris litters the coast, a split-second disaster exposing the perilous intersection of human engineering and nature's relentless forces. An overloaded crane buckles under the weight of heavy machinery, collapsing in a thunderous crash. The machine plummets to the ground, crushing nearby structures, as twisted wreckage scrawls a visceral lesson in the catastrophic consequences of ignoring load limits and safety protocols in industrial operations. A construction crane collapses sideways from a high-rise, crashing onto residential rooftops. Twisted steel and shattered walls litter the neighborhood, a catastrophic chain reaction sparked by structural failure or negligence, proving how engineering oversight can weaponize urban landscapes in seconds. Overloaded crane snaps mid-lift machinery and debris crash down in a thundering collapse. A split-second disaster exposing the lethal consequences of ignoring load limits. Aged crane crumples sideways, its rusted frame shattered by structural decay. Metal groans, debris flies, a split-second disaster exposing the lethal risks of neglected industrial equipment. A shipboard crane, overloaded with cargo, collapses sideways, crashing into the dock. The impact hurls machinery and debris ashore, a split-second lesson in maritime engineering's lethal margins. A harbor crane's cable snaps mid-loading, sending a truck plummeting onto the ship's deck. The crash reverberates through the dock, scattering debris and buckling metal, a split-second catastrophe exposing the perils of mechanical failure in maritime logistics. A wheeled crane strains under an overloaded cargo, its front end lurching violently upward. Metal groans as the machine teeters precariously seconds from catastrophic collapse. A visceral reminder: ignoring load limits weaponizes industrial equipment into instant disaster. A cargo ship's crane cable snaps, hurling a container onto a nearby vessel. The deafening crash scatters debris across decks, split-second maritime chaos proving industrial safety's razor-thin margins. A crane snaps mid-lift, machinery plummets in a thundering crash. A split-second disaster, overloaded equipment risks lives. A crane buckles while lifting a felled tree overloaded, it topples instantly. A split-second disaster exposing how ecological fragility clashes with industrial recklessness. A giant harbor crane collapses, crushing containers as workers flee razor-thin survival in a split-second industrial disaster. Overloaded wheeled crane collapses at a construction site unable to lift heavy machinery. It crashed down in a thunderous collapse. Debris scatters, a split-second disaster screaming the lethal complacency of ignoring load limits. A harbor crane collapses without warning, crashing onto the dock. Shattered metal and debris, a split-second lesson in structural fragility. A colossal wheeled crane topples on a winding mountain road. Thundering collapse sends debris cascading. A split-second disaster where rugged terrain magnifies industrial engineering's deadly stakes. An overloaded crane collapses while lifting a heavy platform, its arm buckling under the weight in a thundering collapse. Workers scramble for safety as debris scatters across the site. A split-second disaster underscoring the lethal complacency of ignoring safety protocols and load limits in heavy industry. A giant skyscraper-mounted crane snaps during a violent earthquake, collapsing onto lower floors. Steel debris plummets as the structure buckles, a catastrophic fusion of natural disaster and engineering's razor-thin margin for error in seismic zones. Overloaded wheeled crane collapses while carrying an excavator. Debris explodes outward. A split-second disaster underscoring heavy machinery's lethal risks when load limits are ignored. A skyscraper crane snaps, crumbling mid-air, glass and steel rain down. A split-second reminder, urban engineering's razor-thin margin between stability and catastrophe.